Hi and welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Today we're going to be doing a quiche Lorraine, a very simple dish, and I would class this as one of the budget meals. It's a little more complicated to make, but only because it involves a bit of pastry making. Anyway, guys, comments down below. Please subscribe to the channel. Let's get on and make a quiche Lorraine. So we're going to start by making a pastry, guys, and don't be intimidated by making pastry. It really is very simple. There's a cup and a half of plain flour, about half a teaspoon of salt, which we can guesstimate. I have 60 grams of butter and lard, and this really makes a lovely short crust pastry. You can use all butter, that would be 120 grams. That's about 2 ounces and 2 ounces for those that need to. Just pop the butter and the softened lard into the flour mix. And I'm just going to use my fingers to crumb this together. I'm just sort of binding the fats into the flour until I end up with like a loose breadcrumb. So after we've crumbed the flour together with the fats, we end up with this loose breadcrumb. Now this is the start of your short crust pastry. It's lovely and loose. We don't want to overwork it. Now I've got some ice cold water here, and I'm just going to add 1 tablespoon into the mix, and then using a blunt knife, I'm just going to cut that through and bind the flour together. And I may add up to maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of water. So let's add another tablespoon in there. And when I'm happy that it's starting to stick together, I'm going to use my hands to gently mold the dough into one ball. So now using my hands, I'm just gently squeezing the dough together, and hopefully, if I've got the right water content, that was about 3 tablespoons in there. And there you go, you've made your own short crust pastry dough. Now, we don't want to overwork that. We're just going to pop that in the fridge, cover it over. 30 minutes later, it'll be ready to use. Okay, we've got our pastry out of the fridge. It's cooled down. I'm just going to lightly flour a surface and pop that down. Just going to flatten it into a circle. And now we're just going to roll this out, turn it and roll it into a rough circle. Now it wants to be a little bit bigger than our pie dish so that it goes up the side. And then I'm just going to take our rolling pin and we're going to roll the pastry onto the pin like so. Just roll it around very loosely. And we'll pop our pie dish here, and we're just going to unroll it over the pie dish. Gently lift the sides and just ease the pastry into the dish. Don't stretch it at this point, and don't worry about any little breaks. They're very easy to repair. And when you're happy it's snugly in the dish like that, just take a blunt knife again and just trim off any of the excess pastry from around the edges. And if you like, you can just crimp round the edges. This is just for decoration. So now the pastry is prepared. We've just got to blind bake this, which means we've got to bake it off in the oven before we put our mixture in. So I'm just going to put a little bit of wax paper or baking paper, whatever you like to call it, into the pastry base, and then we've got to weight it down. You can either use split peas or rice. I have these purpose-made little ceramic beads. So you just need enough in there to hold it down while it bakes for 10 minutes. We've got an oven that's preheated to 180 degrees, that's 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're just going to bake this off for 10 minutes, then take this out and bake it for a further 10 minutes to completely brown the inside of the pie. Okay, so that has baked for 10 minutes now in the oven, and we're just going to remove now, very carefully, the beads and pop that back in the oven for another 10 minutes just to finish baking off. So into a shallow pan we're just going to lightly fry 180 grams of bacon. That's about 6 ounces. So we've cooked that bacon until it's lovely and golden brown. I'm just going to take it out now and put it aside, but I'm keeping the oil in here because I'm going to use that to fry the spring onions. Okay, we should have a tiny amount of oil left in the pan from frying the bacon. I'm just going to add some chopped spring onions. You can use pretty much any onions or leeks, a combination of leeks and onions, but in this instance I'm using about half a cup of chopped spring onions. So I've cooked those onions just for a couple of minutes in the oil from the bacon, and they've just started to soften slightly, and I'm just going to put those aside now. We're keeping that for the filling for the quiche. Now we're going to make our quiche filling. I've got 4 eggs here in a bowl, which I'm just going to whisk up just lightly, and then I'm going to add to this 1 cup of milk and half a cup of thick cream. Just mix that through with the whisk, or you can use a fork, whatever you have. In goes 1/4 teaspoon of salt, black pepper to taste. I've got about a tablespoon of parsley I'm just going to put in there. You can put any herb of your choice really. And then I've got a cup of tasty cheddar cheese. I'm just going to keep a little bit of that back to go on top of the quiche after we've mixed it. And just mix that through. Now you can use any cheese. Some people use a Gruyere. Really any cheese you like that's similar to a cheddar or a tasty cheese. And there is the shortcrust pie case. You see it's all golden brown inside now, and we've kept the shape. Now I'm just going to take our bacon and spring onions, and I'm going to take that and just sprinkle it around the bottom, evenly distribute that in the bottom of the pie case. And I'm keeping half of it aside, which we'll keep for the second stage. So now I'm just going to pour gently the egg and cheese mixture with the cream into there, not to dislodge the bacon that I put in. Now we could just pour that in straight away, but it would push the bacon all over the place and you'd have an uneven distribution of the filling. And once we put that in, we can just take the rest of the bacon and onions and just sprinkle that over the top. And it'll just sink slowly into the mixture. And then that little bit of cheese that we kept back, we're just going to sprinkle that over the top. Now I've put the oven a little bit down. I've turned it down to 150 degrees, that's 300 degrees Fahrenheit, 150 Celsius. I'm going to pop that back in now for 20 minutes to half an hour until it's golden brown on top and the centre of the quiche has just set. You see that our quiche, if I just shake it backwards and forwards, it's still very liquid underneath. So that's not ready yet. We need that to be a little bit firmer than that before we take it out. Now there you can see the quiche is set in the middle. Still a little bit soft, but that's perfectly cooked. So there is our quiche, fresh out of the oven. It's still piping hot. I'm going to leave that on the side. Quiche shouldn't be eaten hot like this. It should either be eaten just lightly warm or cold. And we'll serve this. I'm not going to do a taste test with this one today, guys, because this is for a meal later today. Thanks for watching. Please comment down below if you've made this. I have no idea where the name Quiche Lorraine comes from. Maybe one of you could look that up on the internet and then make comments down below. Be good, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Hi guys, and welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a very simple scone recipe. This one's got a little extra flavour in it, which we like.